Emily Jakely, and I'm the owner of Mile Creek Farm. We've had our farm since 2007. We became certified organic in 2010 after the 3-year transition period, which is required for organic certification. We've been selling at Second Street Market since the very beginning of our farm. Our first market ever had 30 bunches of radishes and like 10 bunches of kale. So that was the start, and now 13 years in, we've grown quite a bit. So I'm really excited today to talk to you about root vegetables. So it's the season for root vegetables, late fall, winter, because this is the time of year where you can harvest them and they store a really long time, so you can continue to enjoy them throughout the winter months. Root vegetables are varied. There are so many, and they come in lots of different shapes and colors and flavors. So first I'm going to talk about some of the varieties so you can figure out what you're looking at when you shop at Second Street Market or the grocery store. And then I'm going to give you some overview ideas on how to cook with them. And then I have specific recipes that I'm going to share with you. So we'll start at this end, and here we have beets, and it's the middle of November, and I just pulled these out of the ground today. So as you can see, they're still alive, so they're very cold hardy vegetables. They can handle a couple frosts. In fact, frosts will tend to sweeten a lot of the vegetable flavor, and the greens will be nice and sweet. They will eventually die. Low 20s, teens will freeze your vegetables. So as long as you are harvesting before that happens, we still have fresh vegetables here in Ohio this time of year. I have red beets and golden beets just to show you the different colors that you can get your vegetables in. A lot of people ask me what the flavor difference is on these two, and I tell them that it's not a lot of flavor difference, and the biggest difference is that the golden beets don't turn your food hot pink like the red beets do. Here I have a rutabaga, which looks a lot like a purple top turnip, but I have these side by side to show you the difference. The rutabaga is a little bit larger, the purple is longer, and then we have a creamy color, whereas the purple top has the purple top and then more of a white color. The rutabaga looks so similar to a turnip because it's a cross between a turnip and a cabbage, and that's how we have rutabaga. Flavor difference, the rutabaga I think is a little bit sweeter. I like to use all the root vegetables, and I actually will use them interchangeably. So if there's a turnip soup recipe, I often will use rutabaga, and you can play with recipes that way too. You don't have to be so strict with the root vegetables. This here I brought just to show you how varied vegetables can be. This is a turnip as well. This is called the gold top turnip, and it makes a beautiful soup because that creamy yellow color. Everybody knows carrots. I feel like they're the root vegetable that folks can deal with the easiest. I brought today a rainbow bunch to show you the different colors that carrots can come in. And at Mile Creek Farm, we like to grow things that aren't easily purchased at a grocery store, just having a unique product. I really like that aspect of local food, and shopping at market is finding all the different things that are hard to find in a grocery store. So here are rainbow carrots. Moving on, we have, this is technically not a root vegetable, but I use it in the same way when cooking, and it is also in season right now, so I've brought it along. This is kohlrabi. I say it's not a root because it actually grows like this. So the root I've cut off. And so what you're seeing here is the swollen stem of the plant, and that's what we eat. You can eat kohlrabi leaves as well. They're like collards or kale, but today I'm going to focus on the meat of the kohlrabi, which is the center swollen stem here. which I tell people it tastes like a cross between an apple and a cabbage. So the texture and the crunch is like an apple, but the flavor profile is more like the heart of a cabbage. And last but not least, we have radishes. I brought a red daikon with a white center, purple daikon, which is purple in the center. And then this one here has lots of different names: watermelon radish, beauty heart radish, red meat, but I think I hear watermelon radish the most. So watermelon radish here. So this is the spread of root vegetables. You'll see I did not bring sweet potatoes or potatoes because I feel like most folks know how to cook with those, so I'm trying to bring vegetables that aren't as common and ones you might not know what to do with. The number one thing you can do with root vegetables is roast them. And this is a great time of year to roast. You turn the oven on, it warms up the house, everything smells so good. I often will just cube all of these vegetables and roast them together. It's really beautiful. You just need olive oil, salt and pepper, and you're done. You can also puree or mash root vegetables. So everybody knows how to make mashed potatoes. So a thing you could do is cook up a rutabaga and mash it. So same concept as the mashed potatoes, but you're using rutabaga. You can cook kohlrabi if you roast it or cube it and boil it, and then you can do the same thing. You can mash it with a little bit of butter, a little bit of milk, and you have whipped kohlrabi. Soups is another great option for your root vegetables. You could either cube them and leave them whole, like a vegetable or a beef stew. My favorite vegetable, if I have a whole bunch of vegetables in soup, I often will strip mine and look for the turnips. I think turnips in soup are fantastic. So you could leave your vegetable chunks whole, or you can always puree them and make more like a cream of turnip soup or a cream of carrot soup. So as our broth for soup, you could use veggie broth, chicken broth, you can use milk, you can use coconut milk, which makes for a vegan option and a nice flavor. You could do ginger, carrots, and coconut milk, and you have a really flavorful soup. So now I'm going to talk about two specific recipes that I've made with Thanksgiving in mind. So the first one I've brought today is called carrot casserole, and I have it here in a cast iron skillet, and I'll scoop up a spoonful so you can see the carrots there under that breading on top. So I'll go over how I made this. Well, first of all, I'll tell you why I chose this one. This one's a family recipe that we make with my family every Thanksgiving, and it's the one that everybody fights over, and there are never any leftovers. But it is so good. So and it's also really easy. So I'll take the carrots, I'll dice them into the 1/2-inch rounds. I'll steam them. While they're steaming in my skillet, I'll do 2 tablespoons of butter and a small onion chopped up and get that cooking. After the carrots have steamed, maybe I would say about 10 minutes. You don't want them really soft, but you want the fork to go through the carrot easily. So then I'll take them off the steamer, put them in with the onions and butter. So give that a stir, add salt and pepper. And then I add grated cheese. So in our family, we use cheddar cheese usually. Today, the only cheese I had was Monterey Jack, but that also works. The original recipe calls for American cheese. So any cheese, if you have a favorite, you could use any cheese. So I'll grate 1.5 cups of cheese, put that on top of my carrots and onions, And then the very top layer is typically we just crush saltines and put that on top. So I just crushed those, and I just like to use a Ziploc bag to crush them. It's real easy, mess-free. And then I pour the crackers on top, and then it bakes at 350 for 20 minutes. So that is carrot casserole, super easy Thanksgiving side, and I feel like it hits all the qualifications of typical Thanksgiving side. It's got the cheese, it's got the butter, it's got the vegetable. So the other dish I brought to share today is trying to pull away from that heavy, buttery dairy option to give you a lighter option, because I don't know about you, but I do love butter, but it can be a little bit overwhelming on the Thanksgiving table. So if you have an option that brings something lighter to the meal, or you could have the next day as like a cleansing, like non-buttery dish for your post-Thanksgiving. So that's over here, and that's a radish and kohlrabi salad. And it's topped with a garnish of peanuts. So what I've done here is taken the kohlrabi and the radish, and I did a variety of the purple and the watermelon radish. I thinly slice. You could also grate. That's one thing I didn't mention about roots, is I really like to grate them and do salads or slaws. And really all of these vegetables are good raw or cooked. So if I'm doing a raw salad, I'll either grate, or what I've done here is just real thin slices. So I've got 3 kohlrabis and a beauty heart and a watermelon radish. And the dressing, and a red onion. So the dressing is 3 tablespoons of vinegar. You could use rice wine vinegar, you could use apple cider vinegar. I just use basic white vinegar. So 3 tablespoons of that, 2 teaspoons of sugar. I took a garlic clove and smashed it real fine. Put that in the dressing, and also you could use fresh ginger. I did not have fresh ginger on hand, so I tried this. I've never done this before. I tried it with powdered ginger, a teaspoon, and it works really well. Fresh ginger if you've got it, but powdered ginger works as well. And it had 2 teaspoons of sesame oil and 1 tablespoon of canola oil. So a little bit of oil, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of sugar to counter the vinegar, and then my garlic and ginger. So mix that all together, toss the radishes with the dressing, and then I garnished with cilantro and peanuts. So the nuts are optional, but if you choose to top the salad with nuts, you could use peanuts, sunflower seeds, or toasted sesame seeds. This recipe was adapted from, I hope I get his name correct, but it's Yotam Ottolenghi, and his cookbook that I got this from is called Plenty, and it is just vegetables, so a vegetarian cookbook. His recipe uses cucumbers, and the only time I have to like explore recipes and have fun cooking is the winter, and we don't have cucumbers in the winter, and I'm real picky about my produce and just use like what Mile Creek Farm has. So I was like, I wonder if this will work with kohlrabi. So that is kind of the inspiration behind the kohlrabi radish salad, but it is very tasty, and it adds a few different flavors also to the Thanksgiving table. So those are the 2 recipes I have today for you. So Mile Creek Farm, in the past we've sold at 2nd Street Market throughout the winter, which has been great. And this year with COVID, we're not doing that. We have a web store this year, which we did for the first time, also because of COVID. So people can go on our web store place their order and then pick up at the farm. And we did that web store during the regular market season as well. And it was really great to have both the web store sales and the day of sales at Second Street Market. So we're super grateful for Second Street Market and being able to grow our farm all these years and then expanding elsewhere. So I hope that you have a nice Thanksgiving and that the vegetables are the star of your Thanksgiving table.